Listen, you guys, this is probably going to be one of my most important videos in the last year. So if you haven't heard, Claude just launched the ability to override what's called creative work. So they call it Claude for creative work. And essentially what this is they've created more connectors for Adobe Creative Cloud, meaning Photoshop and the like, Ableton Live, Splice, okay, Canva Affinity, SketchUp, and Resolume. I don't know how to say that. Now, why is this important? The other day, I just made a video 2 days ago, you guys. 2 days ago. Let me show you that video. All right, so 2 days ago, I made a video called Music Producers You Have Until 2027, and the message was about Agentic AI, specifically like companies like Anthropic who've built this app called Claude Code, and how search engine results are even being deemed AI results at this point. So I know I'm generalizing, but I covered this in that full video. And 2 days later, you guys, 2 days later, okay, we see this news. So I don't find this a consequence. Just understand that sometimes the message comes from a higher place, and I'm just here to deliver the message. That's it. I'm not special. I'm just the person that people trust. And I think that's why the message is delivered through people like myself. So 2 days later, we see that Claude now has connectors for Adobe, Ableton, Splice, Canva, Affinity, SketchUp, and Resolume. Again, I don't know how to say that. So what this means is now you can use your AI agent, your agentic AI, to control these platforms. It says here, Ableton grounds Claude's answers in official product documentation for the live and the push. Okay. For Ableton Live, which is the DAW, and the push, which is their hardware. Okay, so you can even, I assume, use Claude on the hardware device. Splice gives music producers the ability to search its catalog for royalty-free samples from within Claude. So basically, instead of going to Google or to Splice to look through all the samples and all the filters, they just ask Claude to sort out the samples for them. Again, I don't have a Splice tool. I do have Ableton, so we will see about that in a different video. But I just want you guys to be aware that we can't keep taking this stuff lightly anymore. And I'm not acting like this is a threat. This is actually amazing that Ableton connected with Claude, because if you guys didn't know, Sound Oracle, I'm out of breath because I was eating Chick-fil-A, you guys. Like, this video is so urgent. I didn't turn on the lights. This is not to be a glamour video. Look at that. I got Chick-fil-A back there. I got my headphones because I was setting up, and I saw this news and I had to hop straight on. Y'all, this is not a joke. So my mentor, Sound Oracle, he taught me a lot about Ableton and sound design. And he showed me years ago, he was like, yeah, talk to my computer. He was like, and it just does stuff in Ableton for me. And he was doing AI before AI was a thing. So when I heard about that, it was interesting, but I've never seen it done. And now we can literally see the importance of agentic AI straight inside your DAW. So what is this going to turn the world into? I have no idea. Will this compete with Suno? I have no idea. Will it make DAWs irrelevant? I have no idea. Will somebody make a super DAW? Possibly. Who knows? I have no idea. Okay, so we're going to see about this technology and how to set it up. I still have to watch tutorials, but guys, it is at the point where this is not fantasy anymore. This is a reality. So if you click on the link, it says Ableton Knowledge, ask Claude about Ableton products. It says ask Claude questions about Ableton Live, Push, Move, Note, Cloud, Link, and Max for Live, which builds plugins basically. It says Claude will search through product manuals, knowledge-based articles, and video tutorial transcripts to find relevant answers. Experimental, it says, this is a prototype and not an official Ableton product. Results may be incomplete, outdated, or incorrect. Always verify always verify important information against official documentation. It says privacy. All searches run locally on your machine. This tool does not make any network requests or API calls beyond what Claude makes itself. So you guys may have seen, there's a guy, I think it's called Live GPT. Let me see if I can find it. If you guys keep up with Twitter, you know that a lot of people on Twitter say, which software startups will Anthropic kill today with their update? I can't even say it. I ruined the joke. But they'll be like, you know, which software startups will Anthropic killed today with their update of Claude Code? And this is essentially what we're seeing, because there was a company called Ableton GPT. They created an app that can basically prompt its way into Ableton. So we've seen this already, but this was a third-party company and I guess an experimental tech. I haven't used it. I've seen it on Instagram. what Claude said, why are we letting these guys, not, I'm putting words in their mouth. My point is Claude came for this is what I'm trying to say. And it seems like it even has more abilities because it can actually talk to the hardware. So again, I'll download this, guys, but I have to see how to actually set it up. I don't, know much about connectors. I don't use connectors as much with Claude Code. I rarely use skills, and I definitely don't use the plugin. So we'll have to see about setting this up exactly. But I want you guys to understand the stuff that I'm sharing with you guys is not to create fear. I just need you guys to wake up in terms of being aware that this stuff exists. We're in a world now where search volume went from, and in my other video, I talked about how FL Studio was going down in search. Let me see if I can find that picture. And what I mean by this is there's something called discoverability, okay? You can have 1.5 million views a month on FL Studio, but if 700,000 of those views are being answered by AI and referred to a different company, do you really have 1 million searches of FL Studio? If you type in FL Studio and you go to YouTube, but then there's 2 million views, then you have to split up 700,000 searches across 2 million views, which means nothing, basically. And that's what I was getting at with my video recently about how the world is changing. Web 2 is transforming. I'll say gone are the days, because we've shown you guys the graph. Let me see if I can find it. So gone are the days, like for example, where you could just Google something and people would stuff YouTube videos with keywords just to rank higher. Gone are those days, okay? Because now Google converted over 65% of the search volume into AI-driven results. And what that means is, yes, FL Studio could technically get 1.5 million views a month, but because the answers are AI result driven, they could drive traffic anywhere they want. So basically all those keywords can have that traffic driven somewhere else. Like I said before in that video I was talking about, I said, imagine Googling, Bryson Tiller type beat. And instead of BeatStars coming up, instead of YouTube popping up, it just generates the actual beat right there in the browser without any website popping up. That's the awareness that I want you guys to have, is that fundamentally traffic is changing. The internet is changing. The agentic era is here. I made a video some months ago about the agentic era. Let me see if I can find that one. All right, so here, March 20th, okay, if you guys are paying attention, I made a video called The Agentic Era is Here. Because there was a transition where AI went from simply something you chat with to something that actually does stuff for you without all this complex setup on the back end, and understanding RAG systems and local LLMs and understanding how to do inference on your own. Like, instead of doing all that type of stuff, you can now just go to one platform, Anthropic, Claude Code, tell it what to do. It will do it on your behalf. That's the era that I saw in March. And because I'm a business owner, somebody who actually has to use this stuff to make, build businesses, real businesses, I had to tell you guys, look, this stuff is beyond theory. This is like actual utility. And we're in a different era, okay? And that was in March. And then I told you guys 2 days ago, okay, that everything's going to change. And boom, 2 days later, we see this pop up. So I find that timing not, a coincidence. Most praise to the Most High. I'm telling you guys, in this era, we need to align with the Creator. This is the time we need to show love, be filled with the spirit of truth, and complete our assignment. That's what we're here to do. Don't waste time, you guys. All right, y'all. Subscribe if you're new. It's Game from BusyWorksBeats.com. Peace out, guys.